what is becoming a reality is that there's going to be a few guys that are getting paid a lot of money. And it's McDavid, it's Draisaitl, it will soon be Evan Bouchard.
Yeah.
You throw in Darnell Nurse, we've discussed this, but that's 4 guys that are going to take up a lot of the salary cap. So
but they're in different positions. That's the one thing that's different than the Leafs.
Not, but I'm not tying it to the Leafs necessarily. What I'm saying is, Noodles, the fact is you have to dump a guy that you like. Dump him. And maybe they just wanted to get rid of Kane, but they got nothing for him.
Yeah.
What they got was $5 million in cap space. But they basically said there's a good player who played every game he could play, and you're just out. And Arvidsson, they're not going to get anything for him. What could they possibly get for Victor Arvidsson when the whole league knows they're just dying to get rid of him? That's what it sounds like.
Well, they're not going to get anything. They signed him for free. They're going to get rid of him for nothing, and then you're going to use that money to try and get better players. Like that's that. In the end, that's the thing. Like you're going to.
Sure.
I think
easier
they made
said
mistakes.
than done, but.
Yeah. No, I think you made a mistake in Arvidsson and Jeff Skinner. You tried, and it didn't work. And you're going to move on from them, and you're going to have to use that money a little bit wiser, a little bit sharper.
Did they both get bought out or something?
No,
they're both going to be moved. I mean, Arvidsson.
Skinner's a free agent.
Skinner's done. Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, Skinner's money comes off the books. Arvidsson has term, but again, this is just insiders, saying that he's willing to move. So, you're going to move on from him. You're going to move on from Kane. You're going to move on from Skinner. You need to find players that are better.
Goalie is what you need to find.
Well, I thought this is what I was going to bring up. Kane to Vancouver. I mean, Vancouver needs to move a goaltender because Sheloff isn't going to make it through waivers. I thought I was joking tongue-in-cheek with Gino today. I'm like, surprised Demko was. I wouldn't be surprised if that conversation was had.
Demko is another guy that I don't know if you can trust. He's a younger Max Scherzer. Like that's what he is. Is he actually going to play?
Yeah.
Because if he does, you're getting a borderline superstar goaltender. Like when he plays and when he's healthy, he's a star. He's a great goaltender, but he has not been healthy. Like his whole career has just been riddled with injury. And last year he just barely played. So you're taking on a lot of. It's a big gamble, but I would make the case that in Edmonton, you turn over every stone. But if it in the end it's Demko or an okay goalie, I might roll the dice. Like I might
go
just
with Demko
and go with Demko.
Well,
because the upside is so significant when he's healthy.
He's a top 10 goaltender.
Exactly.
When he's healthy. But the thing is that's
if
my
he's healthy,
tongue in
though, guys.
my
exactly, and that's
joke
the big thing. But
my tongue-in-cheek joke was like you're going to have to pay a lot to get Thatcher Demko because they're going to value him as a healthy goaltender.
Well, Vancouver will, but
that's what I'm saying.
Will the rest of the league? I don't know what that trade looks like, Noodles. I really don't.
Well, I think he's a top-tier goaltender if he's healthy. I don't have his medical report in front of me. Like when he got back and fell, it was a different injury. The guy hurt his back or
something like that. That's what I'm saying. I can give you his game log history. It's not much.
The last 2 years, but I mean, he was. If you look at it from the bubble on, outside of the last 2 years, the guy's played 60 games and been pretty darn good. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to trade. I think Vancouver's fine taking Evander Kane. They're not going to give a goaltender that could be a top-tier goaltender back to an interdivision rival.
That's valid. The fact that it's Edmonton and
right.
I would have a challenging time determining the true trade value of Demko because he 2 years of injuries is significant. It's a big contract and commitment. Like you said, Vancouver is not really in a position of leverage because they have to trade somebody. Like they just signed Lankinen. I don't think they're going to trade him. They just gave him that deal. And Sheloff's, like you said, is a good young goalie that
he just won the AHL.
Yeah, and 2 years ago we saw him.
Yeah.
So what is the leverage that Vancouver has?
I think the leverage is that you got to, if I'm a team like Philadelphia and I want a number one goaltender because they don't have anybody, like you are going to give up something of significance to get Thatcher Demko if in case or if in fact Vancouver wants to trade him. They might just go, we're going to move away from Sheloff. Mm-hmm. Sheloff played well in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Let's not forget at the beginning of the season last year, they handed the reins to Sheloff. He played himself into the AHL.
But guys,
that's why they brought in Lankinen.
How much is
Right.
what we talked about yesterday? Like, how much is this trying to impress on Quinn Hughes that we're trying to put together a contending team for his
That's
last?
fair.
How many years does he have on his deal?
2.
One?
2 years.
2
left.
years. So,
2 years.
like, is this whole thing trying to prove to Quinn Hughes, like, if he's told them he's going to play out the 2 years, like, this is what we're going to assemble to try to make you happy to stay? Like, how much is that? Like, if they don't get to Demko, is he going to say, we're going to bat with Lankinen as our goalie? Like, come on, man.
Well,
Lankinen-
that's a valid point. I mean, Lankinen actually saved them early in the year.
did
It was
play
great.
well last
Like,
year.
what
But
they're
it's
telling
still-
Quinn Hughes would be interesting to know. Like, this is what we're going to do for you, or this is what we're trying to do to try to appease him, because who knows what his thought process is or his mandate to the team as far as his future.
Well, and again, I don't know if this matters. It may or may not. But JT Miller was an American. He's out. Brock Besser's an American. Looks like he's leaving. Demko's an American. I wonder if Hughes is looking around saying, these guys were my buddies and they're all Americans and now they're all out, which may be a complete coincidence. It may not matter, but maybe it does.